Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Hey Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana 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 Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदा श्री श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी जगतगुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जाय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जाय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जाय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवत पुराण की जाय। गौर प्रेमानंदी। All glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavat, Canto 3, Chapter 6, entitled Creation of the Universal Form, text number 13. Nirbhinnam talu varunaha lokapalaha avishat harer jivaya amshena cha rasam yaya asau pratipadyate निर्भिन्नम तालो वरुणो लोकपालो विषाधरेर जीवयाय अंशेन च रसम ययासौ प्रतिपद्यते निर्भिन्नम तालो वरुणो लोकपालो अभिषाधरेर जीववाये अंशेन रसम ययासौ प्रतिपद्यते निर्भिन्नं तालु वरुणो लोकपालो अभिषाधरेर जीवयांशेन च रसम ययासौ प्रतिपद्यते निर्भिन्नं तालु वरुणो लोकपालो विषद्धरे जीवयांशेन रसम यासौ प्रतिपद्यते जिन्भिन्नं तालु वरुणो लोकपालो विषाधरे जीवयांशेन च रसम ययासौ प्रतिपद्यते निर्भिन्नं तालु वर्णो लोकपालो विषधरेर जीव्यासायेन रसम ययासौ प्रतिपद्यते। लेडीज, निर्भिन्नं तालु वर्णो विकपालो विषद्धरेर जीवयांशेन यासौ प्रतिपद्यते तालु वर्णो लोकपालो विषद्धरे जीवयांशेन रसम यासौ प्रतिपद्यते Nirbhinnam, separated. Talu, palate. Varunaha, the deity controlling air. Lokapalaha, director of the planets. Avishad, entered. Hare, of the Lord. Jivaya amshena, with the part of the tongue. Cha, also. Rasam, tastes. Yaya, by which. Asau, the living entity. Pratipadyate, expresses. Translation. When the palate of the gigantic form was separately manifested, Varuna, the director of air in the planetary systems, entered therein, and thus the living entity has the facility to taste everything with his tongue. There is no purport, we'll read further. Text number 14. When the Lord's two nostrils separately manifested themselves, the dual Ashwini Kumars entered them in their proper positions, and because of this, the living entities can smell the aromas of everything. Text 15. Thereafter, the two eyes of the gigantic form of the Lord were separately manifested. The sun, the director of light, entered them with the partial representation of eyesight, and thus the living entities can have vision of forms. Text 16. When there was a manifestation of skin separated from the gigantic form, Anila, the deity directing the wind, entered with the partial touch, and thus the living entities can realize tactile knowledge. Text 17. When the ears of the gigantic form became manifested, all the controlling deities of the directions entered into them with the hearing principle, by which all the living entities hear and take advantage of sound. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The ear is the most important instrument in the body of the living entity. Sound is the most important medium for carrying the message of distant and unknown things. The perfection of sound or knowledge enters through the ears and makes one's life perfect. The entire Vedic system of knowledge is received by oral reception only, and thus sound is the most important source of knowledge. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Shahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Srimad Bhagavatam is such a complete literature, just like we say Krishna is Om Purnamadaha Purnat Purnam, right? So the absolute truth is Purna. Purna means there is nothing wanting, nothing deficient, nothing lacking. Everything is there in the absolute truth, which is Krishna. And therefore, his expansions in the form of what he spoke, the Gita, is also complete. His literary incarnation of Sripad Maharshi Vyas and his composition of Srimad Bhagavatam is also complete. His deity form is also complete. His holy name is also complete. Right? But we are incomplete. We are incomplete. We are lacking. We are deficient. Right? We are not complete. And we can see that. It's so simple. If you are complete, you will not need food. Because incomplete, you need food to complete the element of hunger. You're not complete. Therefore, you need to breathe. Otherwise, lungs has to be filled with, when the lungs are completely filled with air, then you feel yes. And if you have asthma, then you feel you are incomplete because the air is not going enough inside, right? So you feel incomplete in air, right? So we are in every way incomplete. But Krishna is complete. So, Srila Prabhupada is today elucidating a very fundamental aspect of a particular dimension of knowledge which is so crucial for the students of Vedic literature, especially the path of bhakti. Did we all ever think like this in our life? That the most important organ in our body is our ears? Now, Prabhupada is saying that. And we will have to, give it some thought, serious thought. We were made to believe that there are so many other organs in the body which are what they call as vital organs, right? It's a vital organ. Kidney is a vital organ. Heart is a vital organ. Brain is a vital organ. So we call it as, when somebody has a medical problem, it says vital organ is, we call it vital data. Right? So, but Prabhupada is saying here, the most important organ of our body is our ears. How beautiful is that? And Prabhupada has in his purports and lectures given ample evidence to prove that this is true. In the translation of this 17th verse, it says that the ears of the gigantic form became manifested and all the controlling deities of directions. It's called, the word used there is Dishanam, right? Disha means direction. So, the Bhagavatam is so complete that it gives you all knowledge. This is the knowledge about creation. Now, creation was not a very simple process. It's a very, very complex process. And Prabhupada is making a simplified understanding for us to understand how creation takes place. Here he is talking about first creation arises by the creation of the gigantic form of the Lord, which is manifest from the body of Sri Garbhodakshai Vishnu. His name is Hiranmaya. His name is Hiranmaya. This form is called Hiranmaya. And devotees only worship the eternal aspect of the Lord. And therefore, the Jajating form, which is also called technically as Virat Rupa, is not worshipped by devotees. Why? Because the Virat Rupa is not eternal. It is a temporary manifestation of the Lord. But we don't worship what is temporary. We worship only that which is eternal. Our souls are eternal, and we worship that which is eternal. Therefore, Vaishnavas do not have deities of Virat Swarupa. Of course, this will be difficult to make Virat Swarupa deity. It has to be Virat, right? It is very difficult to make Virat. But what I find interesting over here is it says that when the years of the Jajating form were formed, and the deities controlling directions entered the years. That means the years are supposed to give us sense of direction. How is that? Right? So, when Dhruv Maharaj heard from, first he heard from Suruchi, her angry form, she taunted, she was despicably speaking about him as being not born from her womb, etc. Right? And that changed the direction of his life. From a simple happy boy playing in the lap of his father and having he was a prince, right? A prince of an exalted person like Uttanapada, right? So his life was going to put a direction. Those words, what happened to those words? Because entered his ears, that changed the direction of his life. And he went and he said that he will. And then he heard the words of his mother, Suniti, and that gave another direction. He said, you want to have a kingdom greater than your grandfather? Well, I am not the favorite son of your father, the wife of your father. So you have to find him out, and only he, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can do this for you. So his direction changed. He said, okay, where do I get him? Where do I get him? It is believed that he is in the forest. Chalo. He went to the forest. The third intervention was intervention of Narad Muni. And that gave him further sense of what? Direction. So we are talking about how years give you sense of direction. And when he got a direction, or we say the word directive, from Sripad Narad Muni, who became his Guru Maharaj, then he knew exactly how to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because Surya just said you approach the Supreme Godhead. She didn't give any more details. Namo said, okay, you chant this mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You make the form of the Lord in the sand. You go to Madhuvan, take a bath in the Sri Jamuna 3 times in a day, and you worship the Lord with flowers and this mantra, etc. And then he did that, and did tapasya, and then his change. Prahlad would have been an ordinary child being born like any of us who are born from a womb of our mother. All of us are born from wombs of mother, and nothing great about being born. It is a normal process of birth takes place. But what changed the direction of his life was because he heard in the womb of his mother from, again, the same person, Narad Muni. And therefore, while Shandamarka and Hiranyakashipu wanted to take Prahlad's life in a particular direction of becoming a powerful demon, because the eldermost son of the 4 sons of Hiranyakashipu, and he wanted to become an heir apparent and the king wants to make his son obviously like himself, like Dasharatha Maharaj wanted to make Ram the king, right, the eldest son. So he wanted to make him like himself, become like Asura. But what he had heard from Narad Muni changed the direction of his life. Correct? And therefore, we're talking about how hearing, as Prabhupada said, is a source of true knowledge. Now this is something which we as in the audience may think, well, yes, yeah, this makes sense. But the world outside will never accept this, right? For the world outside, the adage, the proverb, the guiding principle is seeing is believing. How do you get knowledge? By seeing it. So as Prabhupada explained, there are three ways of going knowledge. One is pratyaksha, other is anuman, and third is Sabda praman. So for the world at large outside, the entire scientific circle of thousands of tens of thousands of scientists who are there, in every field of knowledge there is a scientist. There are scientists in physics, there are scientists in geometry, there are scientists in algebra, there are scientists in Indology, there are scientists in archaeology, there are scientists in every field there is a scientist, right? And maths and quantum physics, everywhere there is a scientist in every field. For them mostly it is all about pratyaksha praman, right? For example, if they want to know about the past, what happened in the past? Very interesting always, what happened in the past. About the future, people know, it's going to be bleak, right? But how is the past? How are people living? What are their sizes and what are the type of animals were there? What the dinosaurs were there? It's very interesting to know about the past. So they go and there's a whole field called as paleontology. The whole field is called as archaeology, right? Where they excavate. The paleontology is about knowing about the past through a study of fossils, right? So when they take out fossils, so they find a fossil, they find a bone, right? And it's very interesting to find a bone, which the thing is from the past bygone ages. Then how do you find out how old is a bone? So they will say, oh, let's do carbon dating. C14, carbon dating. So they do carbon dating. So they will say this bone is 14,000 years old bone, right? So now that is then they published in a journal or whatever, and people come to accept that these fossils are belonging to an animal which was living in the world 14,000 years ago. Or this fossil was there, maybe 50,000 years ago, like that. So we are supposed to presume from this that carbon dating is absolute science. Because if they are saying 50,000 is 50,000 hoga, right? But my dear friends, please understand, carbon dating is an incomplete way of finding out knowledge, right? Now this might be a little technical, but there is a particular ratio of carbon-14 to carbon-12, which is supposed to be constant. If it is constant, then your derivations also are constant. But there are solar energy, there is geomagnetic fields, and there is weather changes, which keeps on changing the ratio of carbon-14 to carbon-12, and therefore the data is incomplete. Then you have to calibrate the machine which calibrates. The calibration also, if it is not accurate, there can be a problem. Then the sample of bone collected has to be pure. If it's contaminated with something else or not preserved properly, as they say, the sample has to have its high integrity. If it is not having high integrity and it's contaminated, that will change, right? So, we won't get into details of carbon dating today, but suffice to say here that carbon dating is an incomplete way of understanding knowledge, right? Or for example, they talk about, now today, in today's world, you will find a lot of, you sometimes see even devotees, they read this and they find it very interesting. Oh, now they can find out about the ancestry of human beings by doing DNA testing, right? You must have definitely heard and read about this, right? DNA testing. So they find out DNA, and from the DNA which you have, they can trace, your DNA is based on the DNA of your ancestors. So they can start dating, and this particular DNA formation means there is so much of admixture of so many DNAs in the past. But this can only find out your ancestry. Why do you want to do this? Because they want to know and understand the identity of the human being. But you can go at the most backdated of about 10 generations. And beyond that, you cannot know. Then the DNA signature becomes diluted off, right? So I'm trying to make a point here that pratyaksha praman or seeing as believing is very, not only incomplete, but often fallacious, right? So we do not go by We did not need the proof of satellites to tell us there was a Setu, a Ram Setu. We don't need that. Oh, these are pictures of Ram Setu, which was built by Lord Ramchandra and the monkeys. Look at these pictures. We don't need those pictures to know that there was a Ram Setu. We don't need the submarine engineers to go down and bring out those stones and do carbon dating of that and say, this was so many years old. They won't be fallacious. Some of these guys say that Ramayana was only 7,000 years old story. We don't believe that. Right? Ramayana happened in Treta Yuga, which is at least 16 of lakhs of years and beyond. Correct? So, therefore, and of course we cannot see air, we cannot see atoms, we cannot see the mind, we cannot see the air, we cannot see so many things, and we still know that they all still, thoughts exist, air exists, all these atoms exist, they all exist, but nobody has seen atom, nobody will ever see atoms, but it is there, it is all there. Correct? So then they say the higher thing is Anuman. Right? But again, that you have to presume, you have to do a lot of assumptions, right? But assumptions are all man-made assumptions. You assume, as I said before, that carbon C14 and 12 is constant, but you're assuming something, right? In DNA testing, they have, for example, the DNA of Africans and tribals and like that, and from that they make a data, and the company will provide a particular kit based on some assumptions of DNA of other, people from Africa or something like that. But they're assuming so many things. So let's keep that all aside for the time being now, right? For us, we want to celebrate the glory of the process of shravanam. Shravanam is the gateway to the realm of bhakti. You have gateway of India, the entry point to India, or your Hari Dwar, entry point to the Dwar of Hari. How do we enter the realm of, the divine realm of bhakti? How do we enter that realm? It is done through shravanam. Right? So, Atah si Krishna namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyai. Seven mukhe hi jiva do. So, all the indriyas, they cannot gather absolute knowledge. Knowledge of the absolute is not to be gained by their grahya indriya, they are gross. Right? But when a person goes in the mode of sevon, he accepts the mode of being a servant, then knowledge is revealed. So, as far as bhakti is concerned, we are not after scholarship in bhakti. Because there are so many scholars in the bhakti realm who are not the right persons to reveal knowledge. How erudite they may be, what is the proof of what I am saying? The proof is that there were so many disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our Paramparam Guru, right? Who had many, many erudite scholars, very, very scholar, because Saraswati Thakur himself was such a great Vaishnava giant of a scholar. He was a Paramhamsa, but he was a giant scholar. He was an encyclopedia of knowledge. And by his association, his disciples became also extremely erudite in their scholarship. But they could not fulfill the mandate which he had given them. What was the mandate? To bring the knowledge of Krishna consciousness throughout the world. And they all knew this beautiful verse. Prithivite achayadna garadigram. They knew this. Sarvata prachar hobe moranam. They knew this. But they never believed that this could happen. Right? There was one simple grihastha who was a pharmacist, who had 6 children, and who was traveling around in the Bose, Bengal Chemicals with Dr. Bose as an agent, and going around different places selling pharmaceutical products. And his name was Abhay Charan. Pradiksha became Abhay Charan Aravinda Das. Right? That simple grihastha had faith. When he was told that you must bring this knowledge of Krishna consciousness throughout the world, he had faith that when this person is saying it, it will happen. It can happen. It should happen. Right? He believed this person. And therefore, when he was told in 1936 that if you ever get money, print and publish books, not just print books. Print books is one thing, but also to publish means to distribute books. He was told this, and the same person now, Abhachan Arvinda Das, heard it, right? And these hearing changed the direction of his life. He was not any more interested in developing a business because he was seeing it was failing. But his more and more he's seeing his life is being directed towards becoming a preacher of the sacred knowledge of what is hidden in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita. And therefore, because his direction of life changed, and when he began to preach, he changed the direction of the human civilization. Imagine that power. If one man gets convinced about the glory of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, he can change the direction of a misdirected civilization. Right? That is the power of hearing from a pure devotee. Imagine this. Right? Now, somebody can say, as you people say, there are 4 defects to every human being. Right? You know, we all, there are human beings is inherently, as we said in the beginning, that we are incomplete. And we are incomplete in so many ways. And we have got 4 defects. We are deficient. We make mistakes, we get illusioned, we have a tendency to make, to cheat, right? Viparlapsa, Karanapatava, Brahma, we have this pramada. These 4 defects are there in every human being, right? And Prabhupada also is a human being. But we must remember about how do we know Prabhupada speaking is perfect? Prabhupada would say this often in all humility. He would say, I am imperfect, but whatever I am saying is perfect. Right? And he would give the simple example that when a child says, 2 plus 2 equal to 4, a small child of 2 years doesn't understand how. How? He doesn't know algebra. Right? Or he said, this is my father. Right? He said, Papa kidhar hai? This is my father. How does he know he's his father? Authority of the mother. Right? He doesn't want direct proof. Prataksha praman. There's no prataksha praman to knowing that he's my father. It's not possible to know that because he was not born that time. Right? So, our mother is authority. Prabhupada said, I am imperfect in so many ways, but what I'm saying is perfect because I'm repeating the words of my spiritual master. Right? And therefore, and Sadhu Thakur would say the same thing. And they all are speaking from the Gita. And the Gita is not man-made. Therefore, when we follow knowledge, we don't follow man-made knowledge. All knowledge of man, which is man-made, has to have the incompleteness of the man himself. Because he's incomplete. Our knowledge is apaurusha. Apaurusha. Right? Because Krishna is not a human being. He is a supreme Purusha. He is Purushottama. Right? And therefore when Krishna speaks, he doesn't have any of these 4 defects. Vyasdev doesn't have any of the 4 defects. And those who follow Krishna, those who follow Vyas, also do not have the 4, they have become free from the 4 defects. And what they say is perfect. And the further proof is that when you follow such persons, when Prahlad followed Narad Muni, and Prahlad was, he was a young boy of 5 years, what does he know? He doesn't know anything in one sense, right? We say in the beginning of our classes, Om Ajnanatimirandhasya. We are born in Andhasya, we are born in in blindness, in darkness. But Gnananjana Shalakaya, that knowledge illuminates our heart. Now, Prabhupada, the more and more as bhaktas, we gain deeper and deeper faith in Prabhupada. To that extent, our bhakti will grow. Yes, our bhakti will grow because of our own sadhana. That's true. But a big part of sadhana is faith in sadhana. Is faith. It's not about just the process of doing chanting, going to temple, doing archana vidhi. That's there. But the faith in the process is more important than the process itself. Right? The process we do may be incomplete. We may be chanting, not perfectly. But if you have faith in the chanting, it will still work. We may not be doing perfect deity worship exactly the way it should be done, and exact mantras are chanted, and exactly the process was done. Then should be done first this, second this, third this, fourth this. The process, we may make mistakes in archana process. But if you have faith in the process of archana process, it will still work. Right? So, and we want to have that faith because faith is extremely powerful. Right? And we're putting the faith in Prabhupada, and that cannot be unfounded. When Prabhupada says something, he always, now one thing which Prabhupada hated, deeply hated, and when somebody would say the word, in my opinion. What is your opinion? Now in today's world, in today's modern world, the corporate world, the modern world, the new age, whatever you call it, right? People will say, in my opinion. How many times in any meeting or any gathering or when it comes to philosophy, you will say, in my opinion. You will not find in the millions of sentences Prabhupada said during his life, right? Ever he said the word, in my opinion. Never. And if somebody ever said, my opinion is shut up. He said, who are you to give your opinion? Why should I hear your opinion? And why is it better than my opinion? If you're giving your opinion, and you go, my opinion, why am I supposed to follow your opinion? Because you're not better than me. Right? We don't know about opinions. Therefore, Prabhupada would always back up what he said from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. He would always say that. You will find Prabhupada always saying something and then backing it up. With this scriptural praman. Scriptural praman. This is so uncommon. There may be so many religious leaders in the world who are talking about God, absolute truth, religion, bhakti. How many of them really quote from the scripture to back up what they are saying? But Prabhupada's practically everything he has said, is a backing up sloka is there behind it. Right? He will always quote some authority. Yesterday I was reading Transcendental Diary. I often do that before I go to bed. And Prabhupada said, there are 3 types of enemies a person can have. Somebody who has a beautiful wife, somebody whose father lives behind a big debt, and somebody who has a rascal son. And what the authority? Is it Prabhupada's opinion? He said, the authority is Chanakya Pandit. Right? So, Chanakya Pandit obviously is authority. Is one of the authorities in morality, in statesmanship. Right? So, Prabhupada says it, he quoted. So, when he's just having a room conversation, he's not giving a lecture, but even in a simple room conversation with Tamak Mr. Goswami Maharaj, and of course, Hariswari Prabhu, right? He will back up that sentence with some. So even in normal conversations, like just talking, just like we talk, right? Even normal chatting and talking was backed up by scripture. That's how authentic Prabhupada is, that even his normal chant has a scriptural basis. And that is why he is such a powerful acharya, right? It's not just when he comes on the Vyasas and he speaks something with, basis. No. Even normal talking, even whatever he thought, whatever you think. For example, Giriraj Maharaj was reading one. Giriraj Maharaj is there in the hospital, and he was reading a particular line from his book, Make a Temple. And then there is a very great associate of Prabhupada called as P.C. Sethi, right? Prabhupada said he was a true Kshatriya, right? Because when they wanted to make the Jew temple, Raja Rajbari temple, one demon called Mr. Mahatre was there, right? And he was going to attack. If they made a temple, he would attack. So P.C. Sethi said, okay, you can come, but come with more than 250 people, because I have 250 bullets in my gun, and I'm going to kill all of you. So if you want to attack the temple, you must come with more than 250, because all of you will die at my hands. That's how Prabhupada said he was a Kshatriya. And he really protected Prabhupada's temple. And Prabhupada said, yes, we need Kshatriyas. Anyway, to build a temple, you need to have funds. So who will give funds? So Prabhupada was thinking, who will start giving the fund? And his great wife, who is now 98 years old, who visited Jew temple last Sunday, right? It is quoted in the book that she immediately removed her bangles and gave to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, let the temple be begun with my golden bangles. Was said, very good. Why? Now he had a basis to sing that also. Said, because it is said in scripture, gold is auspicious, not paper money. So even while accepting the donation, of course, how gracious for women to do that. Now women will not usually part with their jewelry, right? I mean, they will tell their husband, okay, why don't you give him a check? Or they may say that, But for a woman to just say, here it is. And her bangles will not be like thin, paper thin. She's, maybe it was diamond stud or whatever it is. She just gave. Prabhupada said, gold is auspicious. So it is very auspicious that we are beginning a temple by taking donation from gold. Even in that situation of crisis, when temple is going to be destroyed and there are demons attacking and somebody is in donation, Shastra praman, right? That's how great Prabhupada's thinking is. He was always deeply, deeply entrenched in Shastra. And when you talk about his Bhaktivedanta purports, we can have so much faith today. Today is the appearance day of, appearance or disappearance? I don't know what it is. Appearance? Disappearance day of Baldev Vidyabhushan, right? Now, he has dedicated his own Gita, and he doesn't want to take the glory of that. This book is dedicated to Baldev Vidyabhushan. And Bhaktivedanta purports, we find Prabhupada is not his opinions. The purports which we all intelligent people sitting in the room and worldwide, all the intelligent people who are there, of course everybody who is in Bhakti is intelligent, right? Mahaprabhu has said, Krishna Manam Tuisa Krishnam Sankopangasa Parshadam Yagya Sankirtan Paer He Sumedha Saha. Not Medha, but Sumedha, right? So everyone in ISKCON is, by Prabhupada's definition, by the definition of this sloka, 11th canto, is Sumedha. Is very intelligent, right? So intelligent people sitting here are not wasting their life. There's so many people who are intelligent in our society, thousands of them. Are they wasting their life hearing this elderly gentleman speaking something? No. He would sit with the commentaries of Baldev Vidyabhushan, Madhavacharya, V. Raghav Acharya, Sripad Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and of course his Guru Maharaj, Sarvajit Thakur. He would sit with the commentaries of the greatest acharyas of the past, who are in themselves authorities, and reading their understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam. And of course, not to forget, we cannot forget Sridhar Swami. Even Mahaprabhu Chaitanya accepted his authority, right? So Mahaprabhu Chaitanya is accepting the authority of Sridhar Swami. He is God himself. He can be authority himself. But if you don't follow the Swami, there's a nice pastime with Vallabhacharya like that, right? And then he said, it's something like a prostitute, whatever, right? So even Sarvati Thakur, even Prabhupada, Mahaprabhu accepted the authority of Sridhar Swami, right? So when Prabhupada writes a Bhaktivedanta purports, he is gathering and giving us the crystallized essence of the knowledge of these greatest acharyas of the past. And that is embodied in the Bhaktivedanta purports, right? And therefore, for us, Prabhupada becomes a faultless authority. And we can practically say Prabhupada's words are gospel truth. They are gospel truth, right? And the proof is, and the simple proof is that thousands of wayward people, hippies and otherwise, whose lives were going, all our lives were going in different directions, right? Your life, my life, our life, we are going here, doing this, doing that, doing all sorts of things. Why? What are we doing here and there? Trying to figure out how to become happy and peaceful in life. We had our own methods. Our parents said this, and a WhatsApp message said this, and some serial said that, and we had our own directions. But our life got a direction, perfect direction, that the goal of life is Sri Krishna Charana. The goal of life is Sri Krishna Charana, right? That exalted goal of life became the sole purpose of our existence now, because Prabhupada's words, his purports give us sense of what? Direction. Sense of direction. And therefore, as I said, we can always have this implicit faith in Prabhupada. Because what he speaks, he is Guru. For us, he is also Sadhu. And what he writes is Shastra. So for us, Prabhupada is embodiment of the principle of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, all three in one. Right? And therefore, we'll end with this. When Prabhupada was asked one day by one of his very senior disciples, Prabhupada, which is the most important verse among all the scriptures? What a beautiful question to ask from a guru. Right? Because in one sense, it's also the modern life. He said, Prabhupada, give us what is the essence? Give us a crisp understanding, right? So many scriptures, so many slokas. What is the most important sloka? Probably I would have thought probably that the important sloka is Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. Well, that is very, very important. Cannot be debated. Or we would have said the most important sloka is Trinadapi Sunechena Attaroriva Saishtuna. Well, who can debate? That is not important. But Prabhupada's version of the most important sloka is very interesting. Right? What, according to our beloved Acharya, is the most important verse. And he said this particular verse. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha devi tatha gurau tasyaite kathitai artha prakashante mahatmanaha. Prabhupada delineated that this, in his vast understanding of the knowledge of bhakti, is the most important verse. And this is endorsed by Prabhupada. Right? This is from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, I believe, 6th chapter. Right? Yasya Deve. One who has implicit, again the factor of faith comes in our discussion, right? And one who has implicit faith in who? Deve. Deve means the Lord. Yatha Gurau. Gurau means the spiritual master. Tasyat Kathitai Artha. Artha. The meaning. Artha is not money here. Artha here is the meaning. Prakashante. Prakashante means it is revealed. Please remember, this is not about scholarship. Right? As I said, Prabhupada's disciples, godbrothers were many of us scholars. But they could not. They went to London and they preached. But they were more scholars than devotees. They were devotees, no doubt. But they depended on scholarship for convincing the people of London. But Prabhupada sent his simple 2-year-old Grihastha disciples. three Grihastha Devalu. They were not scholars. They are not read. When Prabhupada sent in 1966 his three Grihastha Devas, there weren't even so many books. How could you even become a scholar? Because there are not even books, so they are not there. Prabhupada had not still brought out so many books into the world, right? And yet, these three disciples is very powerful example. Three simple Grihasthas with the backup of 2 years of initiation and a huge backup of hippie life. Right? But this sloka worked. Which sloka worked? Yasya deve tatha gurav. They had faith in Krishna, and more than faith in Krishna, they had faith in their spiritual master. And they could convince the most toughest people in the world, the Londoners, what Prabhupada's godbrothers, who were far more scholarly than Shamsudar Prabhu and Gurudas Prabhu and Yamuna Mataji and Mukund Prabhu, Mukund Maharaj now. They were far more scholarly. They failed in London, or maybe achieved little in London. And the toughest audience, the Beatles, were converted into Krishna Bhakti. Right? The power of this verse worked. Right? And therefore, to have more and more increasing faith in Prabhupada, faith in his teachings, in his books, and his living example will for us and for generations from now remain the true guiding principle. If only we can have, as this verse is nicely saying, submissive oral reception, the most important organ, oral reception to Prabhupada's teachings, and we will never lose the sense of direction in our life. We will never fall into Maya and lose our direction. Our direction will remain focused at Sri Krishna Charana. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Your question. Okay. Can somebody give the mic, please?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Such a wonderful class. We have been hearing about the importance of hearing, but the way you made us understand the importance of hearing today by your presentation, so grateful to you. So I was just thinking in the beginning when you said the important part of the body is ear, which we never think of. So how can we deliver the people who are dumb, who can't hear?
Yeah, they are not blind. Those who are deaf, for example, now deafness is a spiritual thing. We are not talking about material deafness, right? As some people who are hearing, many of our brahmacharis are going and preaching. They're working very hard to preach to colleges and all, but there are still a lot of people who are deaf there. They have got ears, like Krishna's mercy, but it is not changing the direction of their life. But some people who are doing oral reception submissively, those few students, chosen students who are changing their life. So we're not talking about material deafness. We're talking about spiritual deafness. Prabhupada spoke to millions. Out of that, 7,000 people became disciples. The rest was still deaf to his teachings. Right? And of course, if somebody is actually materially deaf, no problem. He's not blind, he can read. Books are spoken knowledge. No? But Prabhupada would speak, somebody cannot hear, okay, read it. So this is spoken knowledge. Prabhupada spoke it on a dictaphone, da-da-da-da-da, and came in print. So if you're deaf, you can read. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.